sold and distributed worldwide in more than 87 languages. 87 languages. Distributed more than 87 languages all over the world. World's most widely distributed Bhagavad-gita. Most widely read and most widely understood and practiced. So I'll be taking some important principles from them. And a lot depends on what you like to know in the form of questions and interaction. Obviously, you're not expecting to understand Bhagavad-gita within the next half an hour or 45 minutes or 1 hour and go away victoriously thinking, I have understood it. So here we're going to, this is an introduction to it. So, because many of you have been told that are new to this vocation, and we will try to do what we can as an introductory this way. How many of you here have read the Bhagavad-gita? Okay. How many of you have read some of the Bhagavad-gita? Okay. So quite a few of you have read the Bhagavad-gita, so this will be more like an introduction. You see, in life, we all are challenged with many different types of situations. The Bhagavad-gita starts with a challenging situation. It starts, you know how, it's towards the Mahabharata war going to happen. And on the battlefield is Krishna and Arjuna. And there are two warrior factions, one on the side of each other. And Krishna, amazingly, is come on the side of the Pandavas. Not because of his own choice, but because of the choice of Duryodhana. This is another interesting understanding. Many things in life we are in because of the choice we make. You know, we make choices in life. And we blame somebody else for it, or we blame God for it, we blame the situation for it. But actually many times we make choices which lead us to the situations we are in. For Duryodhana, he made a choice. Once the war was declared, I think this volume can be reduced down, there's a lot of feedback. Once the war was declared, then quickly they were all trying to get people on their sides. Some of the children had to be kept silent or it's difficult to focus. The war was declared and people were trying to get everybody on their side, Duryodhana especially. So he thought the first person to go to is Krishna. He went to Krishna. Amazingly, he saw that Arjuna is already there. And Arjuna stood on the side of the feet of Krishna. Duryodhana stood on the side of the face of Krishna. So the first person to see will be me, and I will lay my claim immediately. But that's not the way we look. When we get up, we look straight away down towards our feet, and Krishna saw Arjuna first. And Duryodhana immediately said, I came first. So Krishna, he just got up and then he said, so what? What's happening? And then he said, the war is declared, everything, I want you to be, I want to be the first person to ask your support. So Krishna said, both the Kauravas and the Pandavas are very dear to me. And I will not fight. You have my army or me. Me means I don't fight also. You have me or my army. Take a choice. So Duryodhana said, I lay the first claim, I take your army. If you're not fighting, what is the use of you? That's the way he looked at Krishna. He made a choice. And Arjuna said immediately, if you're with me, Krishna, that is enough for me. So it is settled very nicely. Each one got what they want. It's complete choice. Arjuna desired Krishna. Duryodhana desired Krishna's army. So what was on the battlefield was a result of choice. Many times people think Krishna engineered it, he politicalized it, he did that, he did this, everything. He doesn't have to do all that. Because human beings are stupid enough to choose things that are very much unbeneficial to them. So Duryodhana made a choice, and that's why it was in the war field like this. But then beyond that again, Krishna on the battlefield was asked by Arjuna, please park my chariot in between the two warring factions. I want to see on both sides who are warring factions, who are actually fighting the war. Who are actually fighting the war? Whom am I fighting against? So, when Arjuna asked this, Krishna, who was his charioteer, it's like having a BMW, a Jaguar, and having a driver. Right? Having any car and having a driver. Those days, Ratha was the only means of transport. And so, Krishna was a driver. You'll be wondering, how is Krishna playing the role of a driver? That's another big story. Anyway, he said, I'll be your charioteer. And that's how he became a driver. And so Krishna drove the chariot forward towards the warring factions. And in between the warring factions was situated the chariot. And at that time Arjuna saw the whole personalities in front of him. He saw persons in front of him. He saw Drona, he saw Bhishma, he saw Kripa. He saw all these great personalities. And since he saw all these great personalities, he became a little confused. As soon as he saw these great personalities, he thought, what am I doing fighting them? Who am I to fight my grandfather Bhishma, who was so affectionately brought me up, who's so nice to me, who's my loving father, grandfather, everything to me? How I can be fighting against him? How I can be fighting against my Guru Dronacharya who taught me how to fight? Something is wrong. It's not correct. It's not balanced. It's not proper etiquette. So he became very confused. Why have we landed up in this situation? So quite often in our life, we also face such moments. I call them the Arjuna moments of your life. And you may be very successful in life. Very well known and famous. Doing your duties very well. Very protective of your family. Very duty-bound, dharmic, everything. But you will find yourself in some twisted situation. And you don't know why it is like that. Yes or no? Do you find yourself in situations like that? Yeah, it happens to all of us. So the Bhagavad-gita gives you a brilliant example about your own life. So this is a great successful personality. Arjuna, it is mentioned that he twangs his Gandiva bow. Everybody shivers. There's an arrow that goes out of the Gandiva finds target. Surely. He was such a famous person. And at one point of time, he had single-handedly defeated the entire Kaurava army in the Virata kingdom. When he was disgraced as Brihadalla. Single-handedly he fought, and Bhishma, Kripa, Drona, everybody ran away. So powerful. But now when he sees him in front of him, he is confused, lost, completely. And then he said, why I have to do this? So much so that he became weak. From inside he became weak. Externally he is very strong. But from inside he became so weak that the Gandhi was slipped from his hands. It's full of sweat. And he said, this is not good. Then he started telling Krishna all sorts of reasons. I should not fight because this is not dharmic. All these people will die and then their wives will become widows. The children will be without father. Strishu dushtashu vashneya jayate varnashankara. And then the unwanted population, women will get exploited. I will be the reason for all these things. This is adharmic. This is not correct. The war need not be fought. I don't have to fight my spiritual master Drona. Why am I in this situation? We get very confused. From inside him, a weakness grew so much. It enveloped him completely. And he became lost. At that time, he accepted Krishna as his Guru. Sishyasteham sadima tvam prapannam. Please instruct me, accept me as your disciple. And that's how the Bhagavad-gita starts. Because after he is asked to instruct, only Krishna starts instructing. Krishna starts instructing. And the first question he asks, because he's been watching Arjuna talking and reasoning and rationalizing, saying why he should not fight, what is wrong with his whole setup, etc., etc. But nothing Krishna said. Just gave him a good evening. At the end of it, when Krishna started speaking, first thing he told him is, you spoke like a very educated man. You know so much of information. And he said, we should not fight because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. But finally, you are not able to make a decision. And finally, you are just lamenting and crying. Pragyavadhamscha bhashase gatasun agatasuncha nadu sochanti pandita. Pandit, great learned man, why do you cry? You are educated, but why are you lamenting? That means your education is of no use. You are educated, but you are in a situation where you can't solve the problem. In other words, your education doesn't help you to solve the problems of life. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what is the crux of the matter. Many of you are very educated, many of you make money, many of you are successful, many of you are comfortable, everything. But the real problems of life, when they affect us, we're not able to solve them because we're not educated in life skills. We're educated in how to make money. We're educated in how to become famous. We're educated in how to get more likes on Facebook. We're educated in all these things, but when something attacks you from inside you, you're lost. Inside you is the greatest war. Inside you is the greatest lurking enemy. We get most highly challenged from inside us to our minds. Many of the challenges outside us is quite possible to face. So the whole Bhagavad-gita is about how to solve the problems that arise from within you because of you. Because of the choices you make. Because of the lack of education on who are you and what you should be doing. Right? So I picked up simple things from the Bhagavad-gita after this little intro that are important to us. 6 secrets of success from Bhagavad-gita for you. In your life, how many of you want to be successful, want to be happy, want to be comfortable with enough money, house, children, position in society, etc., etc.? How many of you want to be successful? Everybody, right? Yeah. Another thing I want to ask you is, how many of you want to be having or giving love and care, compassion, and be kind, affection, have good relationships, and enjoy happiness? How many of you want that? Which is priority to you, the first lot or the second lot?
It's not mutually exclusive.
Pardon?
It's not mutually exclusive.
It's not mutually exclusive. You would love to think that way. You would love to think that way. But it doesn't have, one doesn't lead to the other. External success, does it lead to internal success? Does external success lead to internal success? If you have a lot of money, if you have a good position in society, if you have a lot of likes on Facebook and YouTube, and people know you and you're popular and everything is fine, does that lead to internal happiness? It is proven beyond doubt today that money brings happiness is a myth. Social position brings happiness is a myth. Because happiness is something from inside you, not only from outside you. Interesting thing, there was an auction in 2017, that is last year. And they found an amazing note of Einstein, which was written by him in a hotel, I think in France or in Switzerland, where he was staying when he received news of the fact that you've been selected for the Nobel Prize. For 15 years, he propounded the theory of relativity and nothing happened to it. And nobody recognized him. But 15 years later, he got a Nobel Prize. Not for relativity. So when he was sitting there in the hotel, he got news that he was. At that time, he wrote a note to the person who came and gave him that information. On the pad that was there on the table in that hotel. The hotel's name is also there. In German, he wrote. In German language, he wrote, after he received the news. He wrote, a calm and modest life is more conducive to bring you happiness than a life of great external success and ambition and passion, filled with restlessness. He wrote this after receiving news from the Nobel Prize. And that original writing went at an auction for $1.56 billion. $1.56 billion it was auctioned for. A small piece, not. Because it was so powerful a statement to be made by Albert Einstein after he got the Nobel Prize. What does it mean? A modest life filled with deep understanding is more conducive to happiness than this passionate life of external success and restlessness. This was Albert Einstein somewhere far, far back in the 1930s or something. Before that. So, ladies and gentlemen, two things. One doesn't lead to the other. We have two lives, one inside us and one outside of us. We focus a lot on the life outside of us. The Bhagavad-gita is everything about the life inside you. And here Arjuna is battling that. He has come to know that. And Krishna is going to give him amazing lessons on the life inside, which is your real life. This is about your real life. So the first thing that normally people want to know when they know the Bhagavad-gita is because the Bhagavad-gita gives you success. But they don't define what that success is, internal or external. But in the Bhagavad-gita, in the last shloka of the Bhagavad-gita, Yatra Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna Tatra Partha Dhanuddhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Bhuvaniti Matirmaha. It's a very amazing shloka. Wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, and wherever this conversation is understood, there will always be Tatra Sri Vijaya. There will be opulence, means wealth and everything, prosperity. All the money you need, all the wealth you need, all the prosperity you need. Sri Vijaya, and there will be success. Dhruvaniti Matirvama, and the highest morality will prevail. This is guaranteed if you understand Bhagavad-gita and practice those principles in life. You will have all the money you need, all the prosperity you need, all the success you need, both internal and external, and you will have the highest morality in society. These are guaranteed. The last shloka of the Bhagavad-gita speaks about it. So both internal and external success can be available to you. So I am choosing out of this just briefly 5, 6 factors that make a successful life. Number 1 is Arjuna started complaining. He started complaining. He said, I'm not going to fight. I don't want this war. I'm not going to fight. I'm giving up. Giving up is the easiest thing to do. It's the first thing that Arjuna did. And flight or fight. Will I run away from the situation or will I fight? Now what does this mean? Whenever you have a difficult Arjuna moment situation, you are poised to grow if you take headlong that situation and face it. Number 1 is don't run away from situations that challenge you inside. Because in that lies great growth, education, everything for you. Arjuna would try to run away. And after Krishna spoke the Bhagavad-gita, he understood how important it is for him to face this challenge. He found that the outside battle that I had to fight against them are much, much easier than the battle I had to fight inside. On the battlefield in Kurukshetra, he knew there's a greater battlefield inside me, which I am fighting, than the fight outside of me. Internal success brings external success. External success is simply the byproduct of an internal success. See, when Alexander, it is mentioned, came to conquer India, at that time he was told that India is full of all these yogis and masters, spiritual masters and everything. Catch one of them and bring them. We can learn all these things from them. So it's mentioned that in one of these things he went to the Himalayas, because that's where he knew all the yogis were. And then he accosted one of them. And then he said to a person who was in a trance, meditating very peacefully, looking very happy, he wanted to attract his attention. So he started saying all sorts of things, shouting, he doesn't know the language. But that person was not least bothered. So he took out his sword and started pointing at him and said, "Look at me!" So very quietly, peacefully, this person opened his eyes. And he didn't bother about the sword pointing at him. And Alexander said, "Why are you so happy? What makes you happy?" And this person didn't say anything. He just smiled a little bit. Then he said, "I want you to state to me how it is that you are happy." And he didn't say anything, he just kept smiling. So when he did, he said, "I'll just chop off your head. You know who I am? Alexander the Great. I just conquered and I've just finished. I just want to meet one of you." And then still this person didn't say anything, he seemed very happy and silent. Alexander was very amused. Never seen such a person. Everybody is, "Oh, please give me a life, please." And they fall on their knees and everything. This person was very happy. And he said, "Tell me what's the reason for your happiness." He put down his sword. So this amazing sage said, "You are my servant." He just said, "You are my servant." Because he was trying to say that I'll finish you, I can do anything to you. But the sage said, "No, you are under me. strange thing to say. So what do you mean? And the sage was very quiet. And he said that you are a slave of anger. I have conquered anger. Therefore you are my slave. A simple explanation. You are a slave of anger. But I have conquered anger. Therefore you are my slave. You are my servant. It's very amazing to understand. Put his foot down. Sat down before it. To understand things. Here is an example of external victory against internal victory. So Bhagavad-gita teaches us how to conquer anger, lust, greed, illusion, envy, madness, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. How to actually fight the war inside and gain control. By doing that, you will actually be successful. And each of these situations that come in front of you are for you to think deeply about yourself and face them in such a way that you go one step further in your graduation. Things that happen to us in this world are not simply happening randomly, whimsically by somebody's thought, idea, or action. They're happening because of a higher power and source. You're put into a situation which is actually meant for you to improve yourself. And there is a control, and there is things happening behind it. And if you face that with due diligence, with the type of instructions Krishna gave Arjuna, was able to do that, you will come out one step better. You'll be a better person when you step out of you. That's why it's very important for us to know, number two, don't run. Number one is, don't run away. Flight or fight. Stand and fight. And this fight is internal fight. First thing we should learn. And in order to fight, we should have tools to fight. And those tools are knowledge. Bhagavad-gita gives you something called Sambandha Jnana. The knowledge of relationships. For relationships, first thing you must know who I am and who is the other person. Then only we can relate. Isn't it? Who am I is the first thing Krishna tells Arjuna in the second chapter. Who are you? That if we get to know, I am a spiritual entity. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intelligence. Very wonderfully, technically, scientifically explained by Krishna in the second chapter. And if we get to know that, at least through knowledge, we can actually develop relationship with ourselves. The first problem with all of us is we are disconnected with ourselves. I have an understanding about me and my identity which is not true. I am not what I think I am. I am disconnected with myself. That's the maximum and biggest problem inside us. Who am I? If I ask you a question, who are you? Then you'll see everybody will give different answers in this room. I'm a human being. I am name is so and so. I'm a professor. I'm a businessman. I'm a housewife. I got 3 children. I'm like this and like that. Everybody has got their own identity. And the most common identity people try to slip into is I'm a human being, I'm a human being, I'm a human being. But by reading the Bhagavad-gita, you come to know, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I am not a human being having a spiritual experience. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. My underlying foundational identity is I am a spiritual being having human experience temporarily. I am not a human being temporarily having a spiritual experience on a gathering that Swamiji has come to, so I am visiting. And whenever somebody comes like this, I visit. Once in a while, since I am a human being, I go for a spiritual experience.
In a week or a month, sometimes I go to the nearby temple. Because कभी-कभी ऐसे जाने का है, थोड़ा-थोड़ा भगवान का ज्ञान होने का. कभी-कभी. Don't be too much into it. Yes. So what platform do we operate from? What identity do we operate from? We all think that I'm a human being, once in a while I should have a religious spiritual experience. But the opposite is true. You're a spiritual being and this human experience is temporary. Because you're going to die. You will die. Yes or no? You will die. So your human experience will come to an end, but you will live beyond that. The Bhagavad-gita tells you first, you live beyond that. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul, you, there is no birth, no death. You live forever. When this body dies, you don't die. That means your sense of existence will continue even after you die. Because we are thinking that when I die, I'll be finished completely, existence is lost. No, you only lose your body. Consciousness will exist and you continue to live. Amazing. Isn't that good news for you? You don't die. Is that good news or not? Right. Actually, if there is good news, you should be, I don't die. This is what you should be saying. But you're not saying that because you don't fully believe it. You don't fully believe it because of the human experience is more deeply entrenched in you. Deeply entrenched in you. But what I am telling you from Bhagavad-gita is fantastic news. Nahanyate hanyamane Avinashi tu tat viddhi yed sarva vidantatam. Avinashi, there is no end to the soul, he will never die. Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. So the question is, most people are rushing age and everything. I'm going to die. Let me enjoy fast. Let me do this fast. Let me write all the property in my son's name. Let me do this fast. Wow. Funny. Because you know you're going to finish. But here is Bhagavad-gita. No, you won't finish. You just change your dress. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani gaganati naroparani. You will just change your dress. In the night you go to sleep, a night dress. In the morning you get up and then you coat, suit, boot, you change a new dress. Every day you don't wear the same dress. Every day you do it. So the spirit soul regularly does it. It's born again, dies again, born again, dies again. It's got nothing to do with him. Just like you change your dress, you don't stop existing because you change your dress. Every day you live. Day after day after day after day. 365 days a year. And maybe 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, who knows. Same way, we continue to live even after we die. That's good news, although you have not yet digested it. That's why Bhagavad-gita is very necessary. Because we're talking about spiritual platform and a human experience versus a human platform and a side as a hobby or spiritual experience. That's what it starts with. Right? So who are you? I am a spiritual personality. I am a spiritual entity. That's the number 2 thing that you learn from Bhagavad-gita. And if you get to know that very well, it's very, very foundational and important to you. Now, while we are inside this body, inside this material world, inside the human experience, they get a little sticky, become very attached to many material things. Property, my body, my wife, my husband, my children, my house, my table, my chair, even my pen, my watch. You get attached to many, many small things which you know will disappear. My car, a little accident on the car, oh gosh, what damage, so much, sleepless night. Why? Because we identify so much with all these material objects. But these material objects we identify so much because you don't have an identity of your own in place. You go and embrace all these different identities. Mind, 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 mind. And because of that, your material consciousness expands so much. You forget yourself. We sacrifice the people for things. Actually, we should be attached to people and detached from things. But we're attached to things and we get detached from people. We treat people worse than things. And we treat things better than people. This is material life. Material life means things are more important than conscious personalities and people. I have misunderstanding with a lot of people because of this possession of this thing belongs to me. No, that belongs to me. Belongs to me, both of you fight. And this thing will remain there even after you die. Beautiful story in the Puranas. Two kings fighting, battle about kingdom and barriers and boundaries. Suddenly when they are coming together to fight, the bhumi separates in between. Oh, huge chaser. And a loud laugh comes. Ha 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 ha. All of them stop. What's this? And from inside bhumi talks. How many kings have come? How many of them have said, this is my land, that is your land, and they've fought. And they've all disappeared. But I'm still here. The land remains here. So many have come and possessed and they've gone. Possessed and they've gone. But whose possession is this? They've all gone. They've all gone. And thousands and hundreds of them have done this. So both these warring factions heard it and they signed a peace. Let's share everything together. Let's live together. Because anyway we're going to die. Let's not say me, you, me, mine. So things over people. Very dangerous. Our mind works in such a way they get attached to things. And they get detached from people because of that. And they have a feeling, no, I like to be with him, but what to do? He's fighting with me because of this property. He filed a suit on me. I have to go to the court. And I'd like to be with him, but what to do? Property is important. My children buy this thing, this things, I have to fight the court case. But I should still fight, this is important. And this way you get separated. Things over people. Now you have the Internet of Things. IoT. I wish they had Internet of People. How to bring people together, how to make people stick with each other, how to have rich relationships with each other. It starts with you having value for yourself as a person, then you will see others also in a similar way. Atmavat manyate jagat. As you see yourself, you will see the world. Chandigarh Pandit told us. How do you see yourself? Do you know about yourself? Do you see yourself as a person, a spiritual personality? Do you actually have love for yourself? Do you value yourself? You don't even know who you are, then how can you value it? Sometimes people speak about self-esteem, and then I'm asked them, who is the self? They don't know. Not even self-esteem of the person who they see in the mirror. Self-esteem, this person. Nice makeup and everything is self-esteem. Nice looks, nice material position, self-esteem. These are all not really the self. So unless you have esteem for yourself, you don't see other people also like that. Relationships come when you know who am I and who is that person. And there's a greater relationship. This is the second important understanding that we can pick up. If we detach ourselves from things and develop relationship with people, conscious spiritual personalities, our life will be very rich, filled with relationships, emotions, happiness. Because between people to people is what is the source of happiness. People to things is an external thing. It doesn't really give you happiness. Possessions are not important. The possessor, the possessions is important. So these are simple things that we can learn, that Arjuna also learned from Bhagavad-gita. Third thing. In order to do these things, we should have some discipline in life. This new generation, people think, the youngsters think, that any discipline means is an intrusion on my freedom. I am free to do what I want to do. Do not disturb me. Leave me. I like to sit and watch a movie till 2 o'clock in the night. Leave me alone. I don't want to go to school. Leave me alone. Don't like it. That's all. Don't try to put your authority on top of me. Don't bring religion on top of me. I hate religion. And all these, leave me free. Don't touch me. Don't speak to me like that. Any type of authority, I don't like that. Any type of discipline, I don't like. Leave me alone. Unfortunately, it is discipline that brings you internal success. Some of the people who are rich internally are very disciplined. And the byproduct of internal success is external success. If you talk to the people who are really externally successful and who have genuinely come from inside out, you will see there were great failures on the outside. Kids are very familiar with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. She was actually rejected in most places. Nobody knew. Thomas Alva Edison, 800 times he failed with it, making of the incandescent bulb. And finally he struck victory. He was a useless person according to the school he was in. The school wrote a note to his mother and packed it and sealed it and said, don't open it, give it to your mom. And Thomas Alva Edison, I was in Edison in America, where Thomas Alva Edison brought it very carefully and gave it to his mother. His mother read that, and for a moment her eyes filled with tears. Then this boy is just standing like this, looking at his mom. Cute little nice boy, obedient, completely dependent on the mother. So the mother said, wonderful my son, and embrace his son. The school is saying that you have performed so well, you should be promoted to another school. Wonderful. And she put that note inside and got her child into another school, a better school. And Thomas Alva Edison went ahead with his life. He became Thomas Alva Edison. And then his mother passed away after he became so successful, very old lady. And then he felt it very much. He came back to his house. He was with his mother in his passing days. And then after she passed away, he felt a great separation from her. And he spent time inside the house going through everything my mother stored up. And amazingly, he came across that same letter that I brought to my house from my mom, from the school. He opened that note. In the note was written, your son is not up to the mark. He is a little slow. We recommend that you take him out of the school and keep him with you and do home schooling. He needs your attention. Signed principal of the school. When he saw that, he started crying. At that moment, he knew that his mom said, you're so wonderful, I'm taking you to another school. You're getting promoted. That's what she told him. But his mom saw that they're saying this about my child. And because she did that, he became Thomas Alva Edison. She didn't think that a child is like that. She had faith. Similarly, ladies and gentlemen, in our life, like Thomas Alva Edison turned out to be a highly disciplined person, determined to do something, trying again and again. And he did so many things. The whole GE company, he's the founder of Thomas Alva Edison. He's the founder of the company. About a few years back, I got to speak at their general, retreat conference in Bangalore. And they put up a picture of Thomas Alva Edison, GE founder, so age, figure 8. We are a great company. Because he's extremely successful. Most of these people, at least in the past, who were successful, internally successful and therefore externally successful. The founder of a movement, Bhakti Vinoda Swami Maharaj, you will be amazed to know that he journeyed to America when he was 70 years old in a ship. Nobody paid him money for a flight. He went 2 months on a cargo ship carrying goods, free passage given to him by Sumati Morarji of the Scindia Steam Shipping Corporation. He went and begged her. She said, Swamiji, you don't go if you pass away on my ship. You are already so frail, 70 years old and you are one walking stick. What are you going to do in America? So they're going to start a movement. No, please don't. So repeatedly he said, no, I must go. So she gave him a free ticket. And she told him, please look after him very well. At least till he reaches the harbor. He had 2 heart attacks in the ship. Because he could not stand the choppy seas. Massive heart attacks. But he did not immediately call up home and then, as soon as he landed, took a flight back and get in the house, go to the hospital, he'll do all that. He said, whatever Krishna wills, I come here for purpose. And within the next year, he had another stroke. His left side was paralyzed too. And he had a few disciples then coming to him. And he told them, when he was paralyzed, with half sight speaking, he said, see, this body is not you. You can never rely on this body. Anytime anything will happen to you. And they were all surprised, what is this man? He's got a stroke, we're taking him to the hospital, he's teaching his Bhagavad-gita. This body is not you. From then on, he travelled 14 times around the world. In the next 12 years, established 108 centers. He wrote 82 volumes of spiritual books. Farming communities, gurukulas, educational centers, temples he established all over the world before he passed away in 1977. 1965, he sailed to America. 1966, he founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in New York and registered it. And in 1977, he passed away in Kolkata after establishing 108 centers, writing a whole lot of books, and having huge thousands and thousands and thousands of followers all over the world. 108 centers he established. This is a brilliant example of a person who was very confident on the teachings of Bhagavad-gita and spoke to people who had nothing to do with India. Russians, Australians, Africans, Americans, Europeans, all dancing and chanting the name of Krishna and speaking Bhagavad-gita in their own language which he does not know. The book translated in 87 languages today. It's a success. Actually, really success. Big time success. So, our success is based on a discipline. Bhakti Vinoda Swami Maharaj, very disciplined man. What time he will eat, what time he will sleep, how he will travel. Very disciplined. Discipline or sadhana will take you higher in life. Today we have to teach people how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, what not to eat. How to sleep also they are teaching. Do you know how to sleep? There is a place in South India where recently it's called Hush. There's a big lady saying shh and a nice bed. For those people who cannot sleep properly at night, you can take a room there. They'll give you massage and give you chamomile tea and give you mantras and everything, and you can sleep. You have to pay a fat bill in the morning. Just for sleeping. Just for sleeping. Because we go to sleep at home, you have phone calls, your wife is saying that this and the kids are all coming up, and then friends come up, and then you get drunk, and then you say away till 2 o'clock in the night, and you don't get rest, and you run away in the morning at 8 o'clock. And so many things. I can't control my life. I want to sleep, please, I want to sleep. Shh, come here. You can afford everything, to give you a nice massage, nice music, and they give you herbal tea, light dinner, and then they say, sleep, sleep. Then they get up in the morning and say, wow, how nice was I slept. Wonderful. So 10,000 rupees for this. I'm happy to give you 10,000 bucks. I'm earning for this only. I earned so much money, but I cannot be peaceful and happy. Use that money to live a nice life. My health is so bad because I'm busy making wealth. My health is so bad because I'm busy making wealth. And then afterwards, I spend all my wealth to get my health back. I make 10,000 rupees for just one night's sleep. Hush. Sleeping pills. So today you're teaching people how to sleep, how to eat, how to sit in good posture, how not to look like this into the phone, don't use your device in the night, before you go to sleep, take a bath, take a nice piston, take light, all sorts of things you're teaching people nowadays. They don't know even how to wipe their backside after going to the toilet. For everything there's a training and a YouTube video. It's required, otherwise you don't know how to do it. Everything. For everything video. Okay? Google video. I got it. Relationships with people, I need a video. I've got to look at my mom, I need a video. Today the things that you teach people are so foundationally fundamental that you'll be wondering, is it an animal or a human being that I teach all these things? Relationships, relationship manager in the company. These are very natural things for human beings in a civilization, in a culture, in society. Greeting each other, feeling for each other, humanitarian attitudes. All that is worn away because of things and things and things and external aspects. Discipline. Don't think it is something against your daily life. Discipline takes you higher. You know, a kite. I was in Bali recently, last year. And they had this huge kite festival. I was going for a program in the evening like this. And there was deadly looking kites in the sky, very huge kites. Dragon, with a big tail, like that flying. And the sound was coming, like we were going on the beach. I said, what's that? I said, this kite, Maharaj. So can I go and see? But in program, we have to go and reach the next time. Please, I'll not see it because in the night I can't sleep when I come back. And I said, no, we'll get late. No, I want to see this. I got to see this. I stopped over and ran into the beach. I said, next 10 minutes. And the kites were so huge, humongous. And there were 10 people carrying it on motorcycles like this. Three there, 4 on the back side, 2 in the front. And then it was resting on a big truck lorry. And on the sides were taking, and the whole road, the police were. I said, this is the kite? My gosh, so huge. It looks like a big building, the structure on the top that they use with truss and all that. So huge. And they were taking it to the beach. And then they were lifting it off. They had a mechanical device and it went off. And the rope, this big, thick nylon rope for taking it in the sky. And then all manja and all they put. It's not like that. It's really huge. And they go into the sky. And the breeze of the sea is very important when it raises. Keep on trying to raise it. At a certain point, it raises beyond a certain level. And I was asking the person, I said, no, he's a Bali man, he did not understand Hindi, and then he spoke in Bali. And he told me, it's going up because of the breeze. I said, which breeze? The breeze against it. It's very interesting, I thought. When you have winds against you, you rise up. Challenges in your life against you make you learn and rise. The kite flies because there is a discipline in the kite flying. Keep it on the opposition, it rises. Discipline looks like an opposition to you, but it will make you rise in life. This is the secret of discipline. All coaches know this. Football coaches, volleyball coaches, wrestling, boxing. They train their wards. And you pay money to be trained. And he keeps on telling you, useless, not good. Come on, guys. Push you to perform. Discipline yourself. And that's how they rise. Opposition to you makes you grow, makes you rise. Discipline helps you to rise. So don't reject discipline. Don't think that discipline is useless to you. Don't think that you'll be happy without discipline. No, you'll not be. This Bhagavad-gita teaches us, and our founder told us many things about it. And we have a whole sadhana procedure. If you want to make success of yourself internally, discipline is very important. So we get up in the morning here in our temples. I am a full-time resident of an ashram, sannyasi. We're up in the morning at 3:30. The whole morning we utilize for our sadhana. Till about 9 o'clock, we don't do anything else. But our japa, our bhakti yoga, our reading, our worship, everything we do in the morning. It's the best time to do it, best time of your day. And the rest of the day we have many other activities. We're disciplined about how to eat, when to eat, what to eat, sleep, etc., etc. Of course, when I'm traveling, things are different. So discipline will help you rise in life. Then the fifth thing, sacrifice. Thinking about others. Service. Service means not me, but others. I do always things for me only. Everything is for me. In fact, I don't do anything which doesn't have benefit for me. It's a famous saying, WIFM. What's in it for me? If I don't see something for me, I don't do that. We'll see. I'll tell you later. When you go and ask for voluntary service, voluntary help, charity, mostly people, I'll tell you later, they'll avoid you. Consistently avoid you. Unless you tell them, see, if you do this, we'll put your name like this. And if you do this, we'll specially honor you on that day. If you do this, God will bless you and you'll get 10 things as a whole. If you do, now you're talking sorry. What's in it for me? When you speak, what's in it for me? I'm very interested. Right? I'll not do anything unless I get a fruit. But service means not looking for anything. I simply serve. Simply serve. When you do that, you get a great internal satisfaction and happiness. Great personalities who are very rich are starting foundations and everything and staying back and sitting with people distributing food. Today it's gone in India, they distribute 25 lakh 250,000 2,500,000 25 lakhs plates of food for kids under the midday meal scheme. We have mechanized kitchens in 17, 18 places in India, and we supply food to children. So many children come back to school because they can get their meal every day. Annamrita, we have a scheme. Like that, you must have seen several schemes we have. And children come and they eat the food and become nourished. And we're not asking anybody anything. If you want, you can donate something. Who will give everybody to start. So many people come forward to do that. It gives a great satisfaction for me to do something for others. The greatest type of charity you can do, according to Bhagavad-gita, should I say, is to give this knowledge about Bhagavad-gita to others. Nachatasman manisheshu kaschine priyakritam bhavita najavetasman anya priyataro bhuvi. That person who gives his knowledge is very dear to me. is the greatest welfare, the greatest charity you can do is to save a person from this material world. Make him understand about himself and release him. Make him free. That's the greatest service to humanity and humankind. That is mentioned in the Krishna 18th chapter. So serving God, serving Krishna, as is mentioned in the Bhagavad-gita, devotional service is the greatest type of attitudinal change you can bring here. So these are 5 things that I have to discuss with you, which will actually enrich your relationship with yourself and with others, elevate you through discipline, give you a better view of yourself and about the world around you, make you very successful internally and externally. Right? So I will stop here. These are simply 5 random things that I picked up, which are very important to most people. I will stop here. These are secrets of success from Bhagavad-gita. If you have any questions, we'll be very happy to answer them for you.